You are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. It's Tuesday night. We are back. We are going to recap the week that was, week 3 of the NFL. It wasn't great for your boys on the spreads front. I did hit some pretty decent little bets of my own on the same game parlays, but the picks are we're not hitting right now, homie. It was not great. There was a lot of teams that lost that should have won. A lot of teams that won that I don't even know if they can technically consider it a win because the team they're playing was so fucking bad. But with that, my man, Evo, welcome into the show. How you doing on this beautiful Tuesday evening?
I'm doing good, man. I'm kind of sad. Tuesdays suck balls. Wednesdays suck balls. No football. I'm getting conditioned by the NFL for sure. Where it's like, we have multiple Monday night games, Thursday night game, Sunday just chock full of games, and Saturday it's not NFL football, but we got college football and whatnot to watch. So there's so much football this time of year, and then days like today, we don't have football. So hopefully we can bring a little bit more excitement and enthusiasm to a boring ass Taco Tuesday by talking about football. And obviously fuck the spread. I hate the fucking spread.
Yeah.
And we Fade Evo didn't necessarily do anything other than stay consistent. So yeah, it was a rough week for us betting wise again. But not a bad week for some of our teams.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all of those games, but let's just pull this up now. Let's get out in front of it. It was bad. We did not do good. Evo, on the week, I went 5-11. The morning games fucking killed me. And on the week, you went 6-10 for the third week in a row, bringing us back to even at 18-30. This is bad. We gotta do something about this.
This is bad.
I don't know how to go about it. We gotta try to get a fix here.
I want to watch reruns from last year where things were going so much more green.
Yeah,
so much more green.
Yeah. They were a lot more green last year. They are not very green this year. We're going to talk about each of these games, what went right, what went wrong for each of these teams, as well as we go along. But 5-11 for me, 6-10 for you. I'll give you this. You're at least consistent. Fade Evo didn't matter. Fucking, go with Evo's gut didn't matter. On the method 3, I guess.
Yeah, and I haven't decided what sort of trick I'm going to pull out of my bag yet for this week of upcoming games. But you got to try something different. Consistency is good, but consistently being bad is not a good thing.
It's not good.
So, yeah, it's definitely something we got to figure out, and we got to do better with. The the real answer is fuck the spread. It's terrible. But if you look at other gambling pundits, this year hasn't been friendly to them either.
No.
Looking at some of the sites that I go off to find where a lot of the money is going and things like that, bets are going. In general, we are about par for how the gambling world is going and where a lot of other professional gamblers are actually at right now. Like, it's been a less than predictable NFL season to begin. And the records are going to show that, not only just our record, but the record of a lot of these teams. We've had some surprises and whatnot so far. We are encroaching that, fourth game in the year where we really start to know what's going on in the NFL. But for some of these teams, we have a decent idea of where things are going. And others, there's still some question marks based on who they've played.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks. So instead of just getting into all these question marks, let's just dive in. Let's start diving into a recap of this week's games so we can actually discuss what the hell happened. I got some notes from each of these games. I believe we can kick it right off with a game that we both got wrong. I think the Packers game is where we're kicking this thing off, right? Was the plan?
If you want to go off of our list of games,
yeah,
then that's what we go off of, which I don't have handy, so you'll have to guide me on this one. But yeah, Packers Titans played out in Nashville. Not a good game.
Not a good game
for us, at least. Packers ended up getting the dub here, 30-14. Malik Willis had himself an actually decent game as far as statistics go. 6 carries, 73 yards, a whole bunch more passing. Took it to his old team. I do not like giving praise to the Packers at all. I mean, that's very obvious. What LaFleur has been able to do with Willis and how he's been able to maneuver that offensive system around it, that's what good coaching kind of does. And while I hate LaFleur, they're doing some good coaching right now for sure. That being said, the Titans did not do themselves any favors. Will Levis didn't do himself any favors.
No.
It's starting to get to that point there in Tennessee where you took a second round pick flyer on Levis because he has some physical talent, obviously.
Yeah.
That arm
howitzer,
crazy. But can you put up with the Jay Cutlerisms of this guy? I don't know. Yeah, it was rough. Packers get the dub there. They're gonna have a tough one next week, I think. But your thoughts on the game here?
Man, the Packers continue to run the ball really effectively. They get it done, 37 carries. So they follow the same script. They were able to run the ball a shitload, but do it efficiently, which allows Malik Willis to use his legs a little bit and then work off the run. So he doesn't have to go out there and try to win with his arm too much. He's able to win with play action and those types of things. Like you just said, man, I know you don't like talking about the Packers in a positive light, but the coaching is exceptional right now because they're able to do all of these things with a guy that we don't think was very good. Team and the Titans gave up on him for Will Levis, who looks like an absolute fucking train wreck. You keep talking about Jay Cutler, and he is like Jay Cutler, but we haven't seen this kind of volatility since Nathan Peterman. This amount of turnovers and this amount of time clumped together. It is Nathan Peterman levels of turnovers. But the crazy thing is that Will Levis's are even more spectacular because his arm talent's way better than what Nathan Peterman's was. This is approaching like crazy, crazy levels. Like they're going to have to find somebody else to play quarterback because that team is not this bad. But Will Levis has cost them every single game this year with just terrible fucking decisions.
Yeah, and what's interesting with the Green Bay running game is that, like, Josh Jacobs, obviously big signing. He really hasn't been outstanding or special yet by any means. I mean, he was their third highest rusher on this game. 14 rushes for 43 yards, only 3.1 yard average. The guy, I mean, they spread it around. 5 total people ended up rushing the ball. The main one being Malik Willis. He got 6 carries for 73 yards. One of them being 29, which was, the biggest clump there. But the quarterback being a runner is something that obviously can bite teams in the butt. It is tough to game plan and scheme for a guy that doesn't have a lot of film, and you don't have a lot of knowledge on, but can also be a runner. The thing is, the Titans know him. The Titans know who he is, his physical capabilities, his talents. Now, albeit it is a different coaching staff there, but they had the whole offseason. They had most of training camp to know who Malik Willis is and what he can do. And unless they were so focused on Levis saying, this is our guy, he's getting 100% of our attention, and Willis just kind of sat off to the side and was ignored because of that, and they didn't know who he was because of that, like that's a huge time coaching failure. Like the Packers were able to take advantage, I believe, of the Titans assuming that, hey, we gave this guy to you for ham sandwich, and you're not going to be able to run on us. We're going to be able to dial some stuff up against you. And LaFleur was just able to manipulate a game plan around that, and was able to make Malik Willis look pretty damn fucking good. 13 total completions for 202 yards, a touchdown, and then rushing for another 73 and a touchdown. That's very, very efficient. On the flip side, though, I mean, like, that's only half the story, because you're talking about, 202 passing yards and 188 rushing yards. You didn't eclipse 400 yards or anything like that, which is kind of the sign of like an offense really humming. It was the Green Bay defense, and the defense did well, but they just took advantage of all of those fucking mistakes. Multiple interceptions from Levis, a fumble from Levis, like 3 turnovers from your main dude. You are going to very much so struggle to stay competitive in a game against a professional football team in general. They could be a bad football team. You turn the ball over 3 times, you're going to struggle to stay competitive and stay involved. And while the Titans, I think, are an okay team, I don't think they're there yet. This is a team that I still think has a lot of rebuilding to do outside of the quarterback position, but they've got pieces there. They've got some average pieces there, but they're not built to sustain their quarterback tanking.
No. Yeah, there's going to have to be a change. There's going to be changes. Actually, I think quite a few coming across the NFL this week after some of the games that we saw. One place where I don't think that either one of these teams are going to make a change at quarterback. We move on to Chicago and Indianapolis. This is another game, man. Like, you see 2 quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, and they both drive me crazy right now. Anthony Richardson more so than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is trying to do way too much. I don't know if you remember what we were going through our comps. Guys that we think these kids could be during the draft process. Actually, I'm going to bring something up later. Caleb Williams for me was like, he's Aaron Rodgers or he's Zach Wilson. There's no in between right now. Well, right now what he's doing is Zach Wilson things. He's trying to do way too fucking much and not realizing what he is capable of doing on an NFL football field. It does not help that the Bears can't run the fucking ball at all. They're terrible at running the ball. Just about as bad as the goddamn Browns are at running the football. So that doesn't help Caleb at all, but he is trying to do way too much. They're asking way too much of him right now, but they don't have another option. And then you go to the other side, Anthony Richardson is fucking there. That's boom or bust. That's Jay Cutler as well, because that's all it is. He makes me want to pull my fucking hair out, but he's exciting as shit to watch. It's kind of like a car wreck watching him play quarterback.
Like it's two different teams, and each of them are a dichotomy of how to not be a good football team. I'm going to focus on the Bears on this one because this was kind of the Bears' game to win or lose. Eberflus has to fucking go, man. Like if we learned anything this week, and I'm parroting what so many other pundits out there have said. This season has shown us how important good coaching is, especially how important good coaching for young quarterbacks is, or like quarterbacks in need, essentially. Like you want to pair your number one overall pick with not just a good offensive coordinator, but a head coach who is not just good at calling offenses, but a guy who is a quarterback guru of sorts. I can sit here and say, Kevin O'Connell or whatever, cool.
Right.
But if we want to jump back, you saw what happened with Baker when he went out and got rehabilitated by Sean McVay.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the Bucks and he's almost like a new fucking guy. You see what happens with some of these guys when they go to situations where they are being taken care of by that offensive coach. Caleb Williams, I don't think is in a good situation at all when that comes down to it. Shane Waldron, is not the guy to be running that offense. Matt Eberflus, for all the good things that he did, with the Colts as a defensive coordinator, looks like he has terrible game management and doesn't understand how to lead a team. They really tried to fluff his fucking pony up on the fucking Hard Knocks. Not the fucking case with this guy. Like it was absolutely terrible coaching. And then you get to the actual players on the team. Caleb has tons of talent, man, and I still believe that he can be extremely good. And you see some throws from him, not yesterday, but during the game where you're kind of like, wow, that's the first overall pick throw stuff that we are seeing, that we're expecting. Like that is going to shine through some of the shit, but you have an absolutely terrible offensive line. That's showing up in the run game. DeAndre Swift, for as good as he can be, is not the guy that you want to be pounding the rock with the entire time. Like he needs a good 1-2. He's a better receiver, but you got a receiving back already on the team in Khalil Herbert. Roshan Johnson needs to be the starter there. He needs to be the guy who's pounding the rock. He looked better absolutely yesterday. And guess what? He looked like shit too, because they have terrible offensive line play. We're 3 games in. The run game is not working. They need to pivot, but they don't have the players to pivot. I mean, they're going to get some help. Obviously, it was very nice seeing Rome Odunze kind of pop. And when we talk about the statistics, the numbers, 112 yards, that's great and a touchdown, but 47 of that was from a first half Hail Mary that did not end up being a fucking touchdown. And then you see some guys like Cole Kmet kind of step up, but they're going to get Keenan Allen back. That's going to help some in the middle of the field. They've got some fucking great weapons.
They've got to find a way to fucking run the ball. You cannot win in the NFL if you can't run the ball right now. Obviously, the fucking Browns, we'll talk about that. They can't run the ball at all. If you can't fucking run, you can't do anything. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams is in a bad spot. Eberflus is a bad coach, and they cannot run the ball. They are not even really changing what they're trying to do because they can't run. They're not creating a short passing game as an extent to create an extension of the run.
Absolutely. So, and on the flip side, like this Colts team is good. They're good at running the ball. They got a solid defense, but they're still a fucking embarrassment because they lost to the Packers 2 weeks ago. Fuck them for that. And the biggest thing is Anthony Richardson. I'm really scared about this is because for all the physical talents that he has, those physical talents as of right now are only going to look good on a practice field in shorts. That's what kind of got him that high pick at this point. We knew going into the draft, he needed a coach who was going to take fucking care of him, not throw him to the wolves, train him to not just throw it fucking down the fucking field and hope someone gets it. he's got to become a more competent passer with those physical talents that he has. He's got the legs to be able to be good like a Justin Fields, but you saw what happened with Justin Fields, like in Chicago. He was fucking a really bad passer. Good with his legs, really bad passer because they didn't develop him correctly. Like based off some of the history now that we've seen, Anthony Richardson in 2-3 years could be on another team. And hopefully that team is a team that is willing to rehabilitate him, i.e., like what happened with Baker Mayfield, what happened with Sam Darnold when he went out to the West Coast and sat under fucking Shanahan for a year. And they like started to break some of those fucking bones that weren't healed correctly and reset them and turn him into a competent fucking quarterback because he's got all the talent to do it. But it just seems like he's so unchained. And they're allowing him to be that unchained.
Well, and he will just let that motherfucker go. He is exactly like Will Levis. They're letting that bitch eat no matter where it's going. They're throwing it hard as fuck or deep as fuck. There is no nuance to the game. It is see it. It's not there. Sling this bitch somewhere.
Yeah. Sorry, Colts fans. Sorry, Shotgun Tours. It is. I don't see this just flipping mid-season. They're not gonna reel him in mid-season. Like, I think Steichen's a good coach, but they fucking screwed the pooch on this one. Like, it is very, very early on. The guy has not even played 17 games yet in his career. But you've let the cat out of the bag. Like, how do you put that back in and try to reset things? I don't know that you can at this point, unless you have some crazy fucking balls and you say, hey, we're putting you on the bench. It's not because you're not our guy, but Joe Flacco is going to fucking lead us the rest of this year. And they're probably going to be close to what they were last year with Minshew, you know? And honestly, that might work out for them the rest of this year, the way things are going. Like, possibly a better record, but that's the only way that I can see them trying to salvage Anthony Richardson at this point. And yes, we're 3 games into the season, but like, the writing seems like it's on the wall for what's happening there. It's kind of sad for me because I was a big Richardson fan.
Yeah, he does not look like he knows what's going on, but he's incredibly talented. Right now, they have an athlete playing quarterback, but they don't have a quarterback. And that's something that has been talked about a lot in national media recently, that we're having a lot of athletes play quarterback, but not a lot of quarterbacks play. We remember Tom Brady saying quarterback play is down. Well, fuck, man. If you look at the numbers across the league right now, numbers are down. Quarterback play is down. Now, defenses are adjusting. They're going to the too high shell. We'll talk about the too high shell a little bit, and I'm going to get your opinions on Mel Kiper thinking we should ban the fucking too high safeties.
I can tell you right now, real quick, it's a meme. Like, he's serious, but he's made himself into a meme. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah. When he says nonsense. But
we should just ban passing because passing has become too prevalent. That's the sort of level that it's at.
Yeah.
We shouldn't allow cornerbacks to be on the field. That'll increase the passing game.
Yeah. The numbers are bad across the league. Quarterback play is down. Offensive numbers are down. But Anthony Richardson doesn't look like he's gonna have to out athlete everybody, and that's not gonna happen week in and week out. No. Lamar can do that a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. For sure.
Did it enough this weekend.
Yeah. All right, what game do we got next here, Mike?
Oh God. Let me check my notes here, see where I want to pivot. We're gonna talk about your boys, the Minnesota Vikings, and the fact that you guys are really good. I don't understand what's going on. I'm not going to take too long because I know that you're excited to talk about this. But you guys beat the fuck out of one of the teams that we expected to be the best in the AFC, possibly the best in the AFC. Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. He is doing everything that is asked of him, nothing more, nothing less. But he's going to play his way into MVP conversations if he keeps doing that the way the scheme is going. Also, Your guys' defense is nasty. Brian Flores will not be there next year. He is definitely getting a head coaching job somewhere because your guys' defense is the second best in the league.
The second best in the league.
Second best in the league.
I mean, statistically, is the number 2 next to the Steelers.
That's exactly who the first is in my opinion. And it pains me to say that.
Well, my argument would be is the Steelers haven't played fucking shit yet.
That's true.
So
that's very true. You guys look unbelievable. Sam Darnold looks like he is gonna win at least one award. Hopefully he can win comeback player of the year. I don't know if that's still allowed for Sam Darnold because all he's coming back from is sucking.
Well, that's the thing is I've seen and I've posted the stuff that like there are odds out there for him to win comeback player of the year. And I wouldn't think that they would allow the odds if it wasn't eligible. We kind of talked about whether or not you're eligible and it's coming off of injury or but it's subjective. There's like coming back from injury or other, like,
yeah,
they leave it kind of open. But as far as this game went for me, like it was obviously enjoyable to watch, probably not enjoyable to watch if you're a regular football fan because it got kind of boring pretty quick. This was my timeline. Excited to watch my team play. Holy shit, we're beating the fucking brakes off of them, and then nice, we won. It was enjoyable to watch just because the same thing that it's been for all these games so far this year. You know, three weeks in, it feels like we are playing completely with house money. You know, I went into the season thinking like we have the components to be a good team, but next year's our window. But I don't know, man. Like I have the Texans as being a Super Bowl favorite team. I have the 49ers as being a team that could go to the Super Bowl. And back-to-back weeks, we have
beat the shit out
of those teams. I consider both those teams to be top 5 in the NFL teams. And we did our business. Like, I don't know where the ceiling is right now because we haven't fucking hit it yet. And it's scary to me to see that because in years past, like 2 years ago when we went 13-4, it was 12, something like that, 12 games that were 1-score wins.
1-score games, yeah.
And it was like a lot of things are falling our way. You have the Buffalo game and the catch and everything, like, and the comeback against the Colts that year. Like, and you kind of felt like, holy shit, things like everything is just falling our way this year. And then we get ousted in the first round of playoffs by a shitty Giants team. That's a bummer. This year just feels different because it feels like the team is very much so complete. And you're getting quarterback play that I'll be completely blunt and honest with Sam Darnold. Like, he still scares me. Like, I can't, maybe it's just because I've watched Kirk play for so many years, but like the throwing motion to me still almost, I don't want to say it has fear to it, but it just looks different and makes me feel like he's more apprehensive, but he's not. He's throwing into tight windows. He's throwing deep balls. Like, he's doing a fucking good job. I think he just has a different fucking throwing motion than I'm used to seeing on every down. We're getting it complete from the team though. Like, the defense obviously is fucking fantastic. Second rated, right behind the Steelers. But again, the level of competition I think has been a little bit different there. You're talking about the team with the most sacks this year. We've dialed the pressure up, but the blitz is down from years and past. Flores' scheme is completely confusing people. I said to Hannah as we were watching the game, CJ Stroud was out there and the announcer goes, "Oh, CJ Stroud's interceptions. He hasn't thrown an interception in 200 something fucking throws." And I said, typically, when an announcer does this, the next play is an interception. And what the fuck happens in interception? She's like, "Holy shit!" I was like,
the announcer changed.
Fucking karma works. And then they did it again in that game. And obviously it was a little bit later garbage time. He was being a little bit more loose with it, trying to get back in the game. But still, like, the pressure packages are insane. We're running this Lambo package that they're calling it, where if it is third and long, obvious passing situation, all the defensive linemen are off the field. They're putting out these bigger linebackers. Jihad Ward, Kamagrugier Hill had a fantastic fucking game against his old team. some of these bigger linebackers, where typically we have our smaller inside linebacker type guys out there. They'll bring some of the bigger inside linebackers in addition to normally, Dallas Turner didn't play this game, but they'll have
Right.
Dallas Turner, Pat Jones, Andrew Van Ginkel, Grenard, all out there along the line, and you don't know who is playing what position, who's fucking coming because they're all standing.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you have essentially 6 to 7 speed rushers who also have the ability to cover out there, and they don't know what the fuck to do. Like it is a menace for those offenses. It's fucking really fun to watch. We're getting great cornerback play out of Stephon Gilmore and Shaq Griffin, two guys who are, obviously, Gilmore's later in his career, but
Right.
they're both veterans who are kind of seen as cast-offs or
Kind
passing
of
guys.
how we're thought to be on the downside of their career.
Yeah, but they're doing great things, and a lot of that is because of the pressure. And great safety play as usual from those guys. Like all around, this defense is extremely fun to watch. It's extremely aggressive. I love what Flo's been doing there. As far as him going and being a head coach next year, like that's always my fear in losing him. But he's still, I think he's still blacklisted by the NFL at this point because he should have been looked at it the way that they performed last year, and it wasn't the case. But he still has the litigation
this year, man. It's
he still has the litigation out, where the league is kind of against him. Also, he's one of those guys where Tua Tagovailoa came out and talked shit about him.
yeah,
I just said coaching matters. He has to go to a team that has an established quarterback where it's not going to be the situation that he has to be that type of mentor to develop him. You get a situation like that up in Buffalo where now you got Josh Allen. You have a defensive head coach who's doing good things, but Josh Allen doesn't need to be coddled anymore. Like
right.
he needs to go to a certain situation. And how many of those teams that are going to be looking for quarterbacks or quarterbacks and coaches are going to want to bring him in? Like I'm sure a lot of them would want that defense, but the way that he interacted with Tua, like obviously guys can learn and they can grow and stuff like that, but it's not going to jive a lot of times with young quarterbacks. So I don't know. And I believe he's still blacklisted to an extent because he still has litigation out against the league.
Well, if somebody decides to break against the league, they'll get a fucking excellent goddamn coach. The scheme
I
that
love
he's
Flo.
running is insane.
I love Flo. Yeah. And then offensively, obviously, look, we are not operating at 100%. No Jordan Addison, no TJ Hawkinson. And we're still able to have a good passing threat. Jalen Naylor's out there doing great things. He's showing that he can be a number 2 receiver, but he'll be the number 3 or number 4 when those guys are back. JJ's fucking insane. Obviously dropped passes later in the game. That fucking sucked, but it didn't matter at that point. Like JJ's great. Offensive line is playing good outside of the right guard. And Aaron Jones looks like Aaron Jones from several years ago. Like he's fucking running the ball fantastic. And receiving and everything. Like there's nothing I can complain about here other than the right guard play pretty much. Like it feels great to see the team performing as well as they are. And at this point, the question for me is in the NFC, what team is better? From what we've seen so far on the field, I don't know if there's a team in the NFC that is playing better. And mind you, we are in the hard part of our schedule. Our schedule up to the bye week in week 7 is extremely hard, and then it gets lighter. If we're playing like this now, like if we get a win this week, we can go 500 for the rest of the year and have 10 wins.
Yeah.
And that's a playoff team. That's
the NFC
it is.
Playoffs.
So I don't know what team is performing better right now in the NFC. Coaching, players, etc. And it's been thrown around a lot, and I don't want to I like to be the underdog that people are sleeping on and not talking about, but it's kind of starting to become undeniable. You've got the Barstool guys coming out saying the Vikings are the best team in the NFL right now. You've after the Bills' performance last night, I think the argument is that they're the best team. And obviously the Chiefs are the Chiefs, but they've not blown anyone out. They've had a lot of really close ones that they've barely won. That's closer to the Vikings 2 years ago where they are getting the right calls and things are falling their way.
Weird.
But like the Chiefs could easily be 1-2 right now if things didn't fall their way. So the Chiefs are kind of the incumbent. They won the Super Bowl. They're 3-0. They have the greatest quarterback in the league. So they're going to be the number one. And I think the Bills are up there too, but like the Vikings are in the mix now, which is insane to think about with Sam Darnold at fucking cornerback. That was not on anyone's bingo board, including mine. I thought that we would be good. I thought we'd be competitive, but this is fucking way exceeding expectations. And it doesn't feel like a fluke because it's not Sam Darnold going out there and lighting the world on fire. He's playing very good ball, but it's like it's more reminiscent of like Jared Goff type ball where he's not like the dude in Detroit. That team is just good.
Yeah.
And it feels like everything else on the team is good and can sustain this. So like I don't know who's better in the NFC right now.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think anybody in the NFC is. We had maybe conversations that the Saints could have been good, but moving on to our next game, Eagles play the Saints down in New Orleans.
I will say after watching that game yesterday, Mahomes did not look good. Like, or watching him play this weekend, it was
everybody's quarterback play is down, but not yours. but so the Eagles get a big time bounce back win, needed it, but they still look like shit. Jalen Hurts is still making way too many goddamn mistakes. It is a sloppy fucking game from the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. But Saquon saves the day, man. Saquon is a dog. Had a huge game. The Eagles need to make adjustments to this offense. Jalen Hurts is putting up a lot of yards, but it is fucking sloppy. It is ugly. They have got to simplify things. They need to make this offense go and work through Saquon Barkley. They need to get more read option back in there, more RPOs, answer the questions for Jalen Hurts so it's right there for him. Simplify this fucking thing. They are putting up yards, but they are not finishing. They cannot do anything in the red zone. He just can't. He doesn't have any answers. But that's what I got for this game, man. They got to win. The Saints took an obvious big step back from where we had seen them against the Eagles defense that is not great, that showed up and played well in this game, but it was a sloppy game all around.
Yeah, we both had the Eagles getting a lot of wins this year, being a very good team. This to me is a coaching thing, and it's Sirianni, man. Like I used the hard R on him before. I'll say it again. Like that's where we're at with Sirianni. There's too much talent on this team, and they're seem to be wasting it. When they have Hurts go out throwing for 311 yards and rushing for another 172 yards, that's a very impressive day on offense. And they have 15 points. Like you said, they're not finishing. They're not following through. Sirianni's making some weird boneheaded calls on like fourth down. Like I don't remember the quote that he had, but it was something along the lines of the past of, I know what the fuck I'm doing. You don't. I don't think you do. This is how you're going to lose your team because you just barely beat the Saints. And yes, the Saints put up 91 points in the first 2 weeks, and I think they're a better team than people give them credit for, myself included. I'll eat crow on that. But they were able to get a trouncing win versus the Panthers and then get a really good win where things really fell their way, and they took advantage of it all against a Cowboys team that slept on them.
Yep.
This was a defense, which Fangio's defense traditionally takes 3-4 weeks as well to really start to get into its rhythm. This is a defense that got into rhythm. Like probably the best game that we've seen from Jalen Carter in his career. Like a really good defensive game and a really good offensive game that just fucking edged themselves into eternity and barely fucking eked out a win here.
Yeah.
So look, the Saints, I think, have fallen back down to earth. They're going to be a team that you can't sleep on because they'll take advantage of it. They'll be competitive, but they're still going to be kind of average mid overall. And Philly is going to be held back by their head coach more than anything, I think, because they look, Saquon's super talented. They obviously have the receiving options. We'll see what happens, with Devonta Smith after he took that fucking pretty serious blow. But the Saints were playing a really dirty brand of football. Like, they were playing real fucking dirty that game. I believe Lane Johnson also throwing up on the sidelines from a concussion. We'll see how long he's out for. That's a big loss there at right tackle. And so when you're down a couple of your big time receiving options, then you're going to see this Dallas Goddard game come out 170 fucking yards. We'll see how long he can stay on the field because he's usually plagued by injuries. But yeah, real dirty game from the Saints. But that's the type of scrappy team that they're going to be, I think. And damn, the disrespect from CJ Gardner-Johnson. Like, I get it, you got to win, but you beat the Saints by 3 points, and then you're going to be heard in the locker room being like, they're fucking posers. They're not, actual contenders. They're pretenders. They remember they've got Derek Carr as their fucking quarterback. Like, like, you guys didn't beat the fucking brakes off them or anything here. Yeah, the defense did their thing, but shit,
barely fucking beat them.
Yeah. So look, I think the Eagles, if they get their fucking heads right in the coaching room, they're still going to be a very impressive team in the NFC. But look, Sirianni, man, I hate. He should not be a head coach in this league.
I know.
There's a lot of boneheaded coaches out there. A lot of them out in that fucking NFC fucking East. Eagles, Cowboys, Dable. I'm sure you got thoughts on Dable, but
yeah. Anyway, let's move on to our next game. We're gonna talk Chargers, Steelers. Herbert goes down with an ankle injury, leaves the game late.
It was the same high ankle sprain that he was nursing before the game, correct?
Yeah, same high ankle sprain. So my question for you, should he miss some time or should they go and send him back out there? How good can this team be? Listen, they sent him out there against, in my opinion, the best defense in the league, and he got banged up again. He's going to continue to be banged up unless you get him rest. How far do the Chargers think they are going this year? They don't have any offensive weapons. They scored 10 points. Now, granted, they're going up against what I think is the best defense in the league, but I think they should rest Herbert, man. I think they got to give this kid some time to get back healthy. It's not the best thing in terms of what they can do to win this year, but this team is not going far this year to begin with. They just don't have the offensive firepower to get it done, in my opinion. But on the opposite side, man, the Steelers defense is fucking super impressive. And it pisses me off to say this, but Justin Fields is like the perfect fit for what Arthur Smith wants to do. Like, it is working so good for that organization and for Justin Fields, because Justin Fields is actually putting a lot of good things on tape. Now he's running a system that is conducive to his fucking skill set. And he knows that they're going to find ways to run the ball because that's what Arthur Smith wants to do. The Steelers team, I won't be doing it again anytime soon. I'm not. How do you bet against the Steelers? Their defense will keep them in every single fucking game, and they're starting to figure out a little bit on offense. I don't know why I continue to bet against Tomlin. Like, they're not going to be fucking good somehow, but it never happens. He's one of the best coaches in the league. He made a smart decision by hiring Arthur Smith, by telling the front office that, yes, we'd love to have Justin Fields come in. Like, they're really fucking good, and it pisses me off.
Well, so a couple of these things, like Justin Herbert, if he has to miss time, he has to miss time. As far as, like, do they have a road to make it? They're in the AFC West. The only competition that they really seem to have is the Kansas City Chiefs in the West. But you're talking about the Raiders and the Broncos being in the same division as them. Like, it's kind of a toss-up between those three teams. Any one of them kind of pull ahead a little bit and take number two. Obviously, the Chargers are in second right now. But with the way that things are playing out so far after 3 games in the AFC, the Dolphins are not going to be the dominant. The Jets are kind of middling, it feels like. Ravens, we don't know what the fuck is going on there. The Texans, obviously a good team, but then the Colts, Jags, and Titans all are dog water. So, like, there's a wild card spot in play here for sure. So if the Chargers, like out of those three teams, the Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers, I kind of like the brand of football that Harbaugh puts out there for the Chargers to possibly sneak in as a wild card team. It's a possibility. But the thing is, I don't know if they have to do it with Herbert being out there on the field like 100% of the time. Like, yeah, Heineke has been shown to be able to run an offense. He's a little bit more of a mobile quarterback. So like it doesn't scare me to have Heineke out there for a game or two while Herbert rests that high ankle sprain. Like high ankle sprains are difficult to get through. We saw Trevor Lawrence last year and how it's just not been the same since. So they're a run heavy team. They did go into a Pittsburgh team that is a very good defense, very strong against the run. TJ Watt is, obviously who TJ Watt is. I still think that they have issues in the secondary, but a good Steelers defense and a run heavy offense, they're kind of built in very, very similar fashions. The Steelers to me look a lot like what the Packers are. They're working with a quarterback who isn't traditionally a good passer, but they're scheming up a good run heavy scheme. The defense is stopping guys when they need to, and that's kind of allowing the quarterback to shine more. Like we know Justin Fields is probably a better passer than Malik Willis, but they're both running style quarterbacks. We have a lot more tape on Fields, and Fields has a lot more experience to go along with that. That's why he's able to go out there and still throw for 245 yards, albeit only at a 7.7 yard average. So it's a lot of guys are making things happen for him there. Like it is a perfect fit there to have Fields and Arthur Smith with the Steelers. But the clap back to that is they played the Falcons, the Broncos, and the Chargers, man. Like none of these offenses are really high potent, high scoring offenses necessarily. None of them really scare me. So it's
there
gonna be
aren't
easy
any fucking high potent offenses in the NFL right now, with the exception of the Vikings. I mean, the Saints for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. Like it's just none of those guys scare me. That's why I am not as high. Like again, I don't want to denigrate the Steelers and what they've been doing because obviously they've been playing some good ball. They've been playing their brand of football and making those teams play to them. But they've gotten 20 points once, and that was in this game. So the offense, it's the defense has to hold teams to like 17 or less. And they've been able to do that. They've allowed a total of 26 points in 3 games.
Insane.
Which is really good. But again, you're going up against offenses that
are not
26 points is the fucking high end type of game for those teams. So you still have to see a little more shakeout when the Steelers go up against a better offense, in my opinion. It's not going to be this week. They go up against the Colts. But you do have the Cowboys coming up. They have the capability of putting up a lot of points. But I'll be honest, like the Steelers' record here, like or their schedule, it's pretty fucking weak. The Steelers could easily go undefeated for a while here. Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants, Commanders. Their first time kind of going into a higher potent offense is the Ravens in November. So we could be seeing a lot of good Steelers ball here, which has got to be tough for you watching the AFC North with the Steelers doing that. Real easy looking schedule for them. It gets tough in the back half though. So we might see a win out first half and a lose out second half for them. We'll see.
They'll still go fucking 500 or better or over 500 because now you can't go 500. So they'll win 9 games no matter what. Fucking they do it every year. God, I would love a taste of consistency. But some things do remain. Some things do stay consistent. Baker Mayfield fucked me again. So that was consistent because we both took Bucks minus 5.5. And they did not perform. Injuries, I think, caught up to that Bucks defense. They've been banged up. They were able to kind of hold tough against the Lions, but I think injuries finally caught up to them a little bit in this game. And Bo Nix, in my opinion, was nothing special. Bo Nix was Bo Nix. Bo Nix had playmakers make plays for him because the back end of the Bucks defense was bait the fuck up. I don't think Bo Nix did anything to change my mind about what Bo Nix is, what he does. But Baker was very disappointing. He played absolute dog shit game and took way too many sacks. It was old Baker Mayfield holding on to the ball for too long. So if Baker will see the field, hit his foot in the ground, and throw the ball, they'll be fine, I think. But it really, really goddamn disappointed that the Bucks came out and laid a fucking egg to the Broncos, because now it gives legitimacy to Bo Nix is improving. But I don't know how much you went back and watched. Bo Nix didn't do fucking anything different or anything special.
Yeah, no, Nix was still checked down Charlie. The special thing is that he used his legs. And Nix is known for using his legs. 9 rushes, 47 yards, and a touchdown, but that was the only touchdown that he helped produce. 216 yards is a nice fucking yardage stat for a guy who's a check down Charlie, but that's what he was. 6-yard average for 216 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. I suppose, he's safer with the ball there than he has been in previous weeks. But this was the Bucks beat themselves in this one for sure. Like, I'm not giving a whole bunch of credibility to the Broncos yet. It's not a game that I've really put eyes on a whole lot, just because it doesn't interest me, because I know it is week 3, but I feel like I know who the Broncos are right now. And it is a nothing special team. It's the same team that they were last year. And yeah, they had like 3 weeks of grandeur last year, but that's still not the case. Like, they're a below average team with a below average milquetoast quarterback situation. And yeah, it was just a pretty terrible showing for the Bucks here.
Yeah, it was not good. Did not enjoy. We both took Bucks -5.5, and they fucked us.
It felt like an easy one.
It felt like a slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did the next one, because the Panthers and the fucking Raiders, talking about things that I did not have on my bingo card. Red Rifle going for 3 bills and 3 tuds, definitely not there. Andy Dalton comes out and puts on a fucking show. Gardner Minshew played like absolute dog shit, was replaced. And the Raiders might be having all sorts of changes this week at a couple of different positions, cornerback and quarterback. Gardner Minshew could be getting replaced by Aiden O'Connell, and people making business decisions could be off the team. Big statement from the coach after the game. What do you make of the shit that we saw out of this?
Well, I don't know about you, but I predicted this one.
Yeah.
Based off of my pick.
Based off Fade Evo.
I took the Panthers plus the points here. And I hate to say this as well, if we're looking for some sort of a trend here, week 1, Gardner looked bad. Week 2, Gardner looked good. Week 3, Gardner looked bad. Week 4 versus the Browns.
Will Gardner be playing?
I think that they're not going to make the swap. But I think they're going to ride 4 games with Gardner. Now, if he looks bad against your Browns, which he absolutely could, because you guys have a good defense, except for when you're playing Daniel Jones, he could have, a pretty fucking terrible game against you guys. Or every other week he could be good. I don't know. I didn't necessarily see the Raiders dropping this one. I don't think most people did. But the fact of the matter is that Andy Dalton is a professional quarterback. He started for a lot of years in this league, and he did good things. He was a above average quarterback for the Bengals. He is on a team that has some guys out there. Like, for all the shit that you've talked about, the offensive line there for Carolina, I get it. They've looked bad. But, they're a better offensive line right now than the Bears, I think. But I don't know how you feel about your offensive line. They might be better than your
probably better than mine right now, for sure, because mine fucking sucks.
So, we're talking about a situation that I keep forgetting. It's Callahan's the coach. No, he's not the coach out in Carolina.
No,
it's Titans, right? Yeah. So, after your guys' offensive line was beat up and whatnot last year, but losing Callahan, we'll get to the Browns game here in a little bit. I can't talk about your offensive line yet, but look, they've got pieces there. They can be a closer to average team if you get quarterback play, and that's kind of what happened here. Now, losing Adam Thielen for the year, going on IR, that's going to suck because he's extremely consistent. But you still have Deontay Johnson. You got Xavier Legette as he starts to develop. You got Mingo out there. You got some guys. Chuba Hubbard obviously had a good game as well, but you're going to be getting a pretty fucking good running back here in the next several weeks probably. And Dalton, like I said, is a professional. He's played on Bengals teams that were not super great
Yeah.
and was still able to put up average to above average numbers. He's played for other teams that are not super great, and he's gotten them wins. Like the Red Rocket is a good backup quarterback who can be a spot starter. He's like one of those top tier
Colt
level
McCoy.
backups. Like, yeah, sure.
Red
Absolutely.
hair Colt McCoy.
And so you're going to get a guy who goes out there and can throw for 319 yards when this team is probably being slept on and 3 touchdowns. Like the Raiders, no NFL team should be slept on because that's what happens like to Dallas last week. And that's what happens to the Vegas Raiders this week. Like you sleep on a professional football team and guys who can find a spark in their quarterback and they're going to take advantage of it. That's what happened here. I can't say that it's going to carry forward and be consistent. I mean, they're going up against the Bengals next week.
The Bengals suck.
Who knows what to think of that one?
Bengals fucking suck.
Yeah.
But,
So, look, I feel great for Andy Dalton. Good job. Like you did probably some damage to the Panthers.
oh, for sure. Because here's the thing, and I'm going to ask you, with this performance from that offense with a veteran professional quarterback, I mean, the writing's on the wall. Bryce Young's done, right? He's going to have to sit probably all year to watch.
I mean, they did come out and say,
thing. If they switch him back and the offense goes back to looking like dog shit, then you have ruined all of his trade value because teams are calling for his trade.
Yeah.
If you put him back out there, you will only do one of two things. You will confirm that he is trash, or you could maybe raise the stock. At what point has he proven that he's going to raise his fucking stock for you? You cannot put him back out there.
I think his trade value is as high right now as it ever will be. Because if you put him back out there, if you're going to put him out there, he is probably not going to look good again.
Yeah.
Like 9 times out of 10, this team is not going to look good. Andy Dalton had that little bit of a spark and they're slept on, but I don't think they're going to get slept on like that anymore. Even with Andy Dalton out there, and Dalton will still probably net them a win here or there, but I still think that at best this is like a 3-win team. You put Bryce Young out there, they know what he is, and there's no spark still, and you have worse than 9 out of 10 times you're going to lose a game. You're probably going to lose every game with him. So his trade value right now is as high as it probably will be, and it's not good. But yeah, I wouldn't put him back out there this year. I wouldn't put him out there this year. I wouldn't. Like I would move him now while you have teams that are desperate, i.e. the Dolphins. Like the Dolphins have some options if they want to try to trade for somebody. This is your opportunity. Like fucking send them down there, let them be their problem.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like if you're the Panthers, it will be negligence. So they will probably do this. They will probably put him back out there and prove to the entire league that he can't play, rather than everybody thinking that it's just the Panthers' fault, because the Panthers have completely mismanaged Bryce Young. Like, no doubt about that. But he is also not very good. So the best thing you could do would be pray that you can recoup a 6th-round pick for what looks like the worst trade in NFL history, potentially. Right there, neck and neck with a couple of other trades, potentially.
Yeah, look, it's not a good one. Yeah, just go get something from them. But the good news, Carolina fans, I mean, there's no moving off of the fact that you have the worst owner in the league. But you're probably gonna have the first overall pick next year, so you can go out and get a new quarterback. Try to start over again. Like it's easy to rebuild the house when you're still at the foundation, right? So like
you never got started, so just fucking reset.
Yeah. Like you've got a couple little pieces here, like, oh, this is gonna be a nice planter to put outside of the house when we have a house. Or like, this is a cool couch. Like, I'm gonna enjoy this couch when I have a house to put it in. You got those things, but you don't have a house yet. And rather than be like, oh, well, we put up some fucking studs, but I completely want to redesign the thing. Now we got to tear the whole fucking thing down. No, you're good. You're gonna have the first overall pick next year, probably. So you can try again, We'll We'll see.
As long as the guy running the operation doesn't just shut you down before you get started, because that is always a very serious potential with that ownership group. The contractor will just pull your fucking permits before you get started.
Yeah, that's the problem is Tepper. How much can Tepper keep his hands off this fucking thing? Because who knows what Dan Morgan's going to be able to do as the GM there. Like, who knows if, like, he didn't make terrible moves this year in the offseason. You moved on from Brian Burns, but he was able to go out there and get trade assets for him and whatnot.
But not as much as he should have.
Definitely not as much as he should have, but it's like, okay, we're gonna trade him off. We have a Lambo with no garage to park in. I'm gonna use some house metaphors here.
Yeah.
We have a Lambo, no garage to put it in, and it's hailing here constantly. Let's fucking go and trade it, and we'll get ourselves an F-150 that's fucking a little bit more reliable, and we can get by with it for now. They can go help us get the lumber.
I like these house analogies.
You are listening to the Lineman Lounge home building show.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. Good job for those Panthers. Thank you for helping me maintain my consistency by getting me a dub on that.
Yeah. So I can't push this off. I was gonna try to just keep pushing it off for the entire show and just not do it, but I'm pretty sure we're getting ready to move into the afternoon game. So
yeah, we might as well move into it. If you guys like our content, No Sleeves Network. We got a QR code up here in the middle. We are part of the No Sleeves Network. Please check us out. Check out all of our content. We are a couple dummy thick idiots. We like to have a fun time. We got a whole bunch of other dummy thick idiots who work with us at the No Sleeves Network. And we're putting out all sorts of fun content and whatnot. Please take the time to check this out. Also, if you so have it in your heart, give us a like, share us to your friends, and subscribe to our channels while you can, because we would really appreciate that. We just want to keep growing and keep telling everyone how bad we are at picking games. Now that we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about, Mike?
Oh, man, let's talk about it. No, we got to talk about the Browns. The Browns fucking suck. I don't have another good way to put it. They fucking are terrible. Deshaun Watson sucks. Houston Deshaun's not coming back. But he actually wasn't the worst component of this team on Sunday. The offensive line was trash. That is the worst offensive line performance that we have had in God knows how long. It was atrocious. It was abysmal. Guys got hurt. Guys are moving around. We couldn't pick up simple fucking stunts, twists. Nobody could do shit. Deshaun, for all the bad things that he has been doing, this was not all his fault. Did he have misses? 100%. Did he miss wide open shit? 100%. But he was not the main reason that we lost this game. We didn't run the ball. We can't run the ball. Our offensive line is a fucking sieve. We suck. We fucking suck. Our offense has no idea what the fuck they're doing. The scheme is trash. We have receivers in fucking same locations all the time. There is nothing that I have that is nice to say about the offense. My only hope is that Nick Chubb comes back and somehow everybody's like, oh, fuck, Nick Chubb's here. We'll actually have to respect the Browns in the run game a little bit because nobody respects the run game. We don't do it. We don't run RPO. We don't do any extensions off of it. Kevin Stefanski's screen game has been shit for a couple of years. What the fucking fuck? It pisses me off so bad, dude. Like, we have been getting reports all summer. This team is looking great. They're looking good. Apparently, reports against from you guys were like, hey, they look pretty good. Deshaun looked okay. Deshaun looks like shit. Nobody on the offensive line can block. We thought we were going to have our two starting tackles back. Those two fuckfaces still have barely played. Jed played on Sunday, if you can call what he did playing. He showed up and got paid, but I don't know if he fucking played. It's bad. The defense has got no shot. We are wasting years of Myles Garrett's prime. We are not going to be a competitive football team with the shit that I have seen. This meld of schemes with Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski is not a scheme. It does not work. We have got to scrap whatever the fuck they're doing because it's not going to work. They need to fire Ken Dorsey just so we can go back to Kevin Stefanski's, even though it's not Dorsey's fucking fault. It's not his fault because he's not calling plays. Stefanski is to blame, but unless we fire our head coach 3 weeks in, this offense is going to continue to look like shit all year. This is not a simple fucking fix. We have got to revert back to what we used to do and actually play football downhill, because we've talked about it, the 2 high safeties and all that. You've got to be actually be able to run the ball in today's NFL, at least this year, because teams are playing 2 high safeties. We don't have it in us. I'm not very excited about the outlook of this Browns season. I will still be there every Sunday, rooting, cheering on the Browns. No matter who's in the uniform, I will be cheering on the Browns. But I have almost zero hope that this is going to be a fun year as a Browns fan. That's what I got to say on the Browns. Evo, you're an
I'm trying to find the good in things, but it's kind of difficult. As a suggestion, I think we need to reach out to Nick Carnes and try to have him on the show as well, because reading a lot of what's going on Twitter, he's receiving a lot of hate, unfounded in my opinion, because he's just calling it like he's seeing it, and I have to agree with him as an outside perspective without a Cleveland bias, really, in my heart. It's Deshaun Watson was not the worst part of this team yesterday, but he's still, if we're talking about a pie chart of blame, I still have to almost put it like 50% his fault.
Because 25.
Because of the contract. Like, it is going to be very, very difficult to team build. Like, you guys were building something last year, but it's going to be very difficult to consistently team build when you're paying a guy who is underperforming that bad and who wasn't on the field for so many years. Like, those are years that you guys could have been bringing in other talent and building for the future, where it's not as heavily reliant on the quarterback. But when you're paying a quarterback that much, you're expecting him to elevate the rest of the team. Deshaun Watson's not a Pat Mahomes. He's not a Josh Allen. He's not those guys where you can pay them an exorbitant amount of money and have lesser talent around him. And you're starting to see, like, the defense has fucking maintained. The offense has become decrepit in many factors. Offensive line especially. Like, what you guys were, your bread and butter was a ground and pound, run first type of team. And the offensive line is what makes that work. And it's not there right now.
We got old fast.
Yeah. And so because of that, yeah, his play wasn't great, but it's also, and the other 50% of that pie chart of blame to me kind of goes to Andrew Berry. He's the guy that authorized this trade. He's the guy that did the trade and did the contract. And I know that you're an Andrew Berry fan, but he might have bit off more than he can chew. He might have put himself and the team into a hole that they can't recover from. Now, the cap is a myth, but this is a big fucking cap problem when you are devoting that much money towards a quarterback who is not able to elevate your team like that. And that's the scary thing going forward. I'm scared for Nick Chubb. I like Nick Chubb too. I think he's a fantastic running back. It scared me before, thinking this was going to be the Browns team from last year, thinking about him going out and having to play with those knees, because they scare me. Like, it scares me of him getting re-injured. And now, like, with how much would be put on his shoulders as a runner,
he would have to be almost the entire offense coming back.
Yeah.
We have not found any sort of consistency with running the ball. I was screaming in spaces at halftime that we got to start running between the tackles with Deontay Foreman. We did it fucking twice. We got no push. So I understand why they abandoned, but we can't abandon the run. We are in such a bad spot. This is the worst offense that I have watched in quite some time. Baker Mayfield with the shitty shoulder, that offense was still more explosive than this fucking offense.
I agree. And that brings me to the next point, is like, you're getting calls for Jameis. And in this situation, the Browns, Deshaun wasn't necessarily on the field. He wasn't necessarily the problem. He wasn't great, but he wasn't the problem. But does a change in quarterback change things otherwise? Or does it just kind of prove the point of either the system not working or the offense and the talent around him not being good enough?
Very similar to the Bryce Young situation, in my opinion. You cannot put Jameis on the field. Because if you do, and Jameis goes out there and plays well, then all you have done is prove that Deshaun Watson is not the guy.
But
and now you're fucking.
He's already proven he's not the guy. In my opinion,
I understand that, but Evo, you know this as well as I do. You're still around it every day. People in positions of power who are in charge of shit will not just say, I fucked up. We lauded the 49ers organization for just saying we missed on Trey Lance. That doesn't happen. That is the fucking exception, not the rule. They are not lining up to say, you know what? Let's prove ourselves to be fucking idiots about Deshaun Watson. They're not going to do that. Most people won't do that. We are happy when they do, but there's no way the Browns organization is going to put Jameis in there because it will just simply prove this quarterback is a problem, or it's going to be, okay, this team is drastically underperforming. Who's getting fired? That's what happens if you make the switch.
I think it's going to happen no matter what.
It's going to have to at some point, but they're not going to do it now. They can't do it now.
Find a way to offset some of the cost of that contract. I mean, I know you guys have put.
There's no way you can't. We can't offset shit.
But trading to Miami.
Miami, we'd have to give up our picks for Miami to take him.
Maybe, unless things keep going downhill like they are in Miami and they fucking get desperate. I don't know.
Dude, Miami's quarterback situation's bad right now.
It's a rough spot. It's a rough spot for your Browns. I feel bad for the situation, obviously. But on the flip side, the Giants, Daniel Jones, not playing absolutely terrible. Like you said, all along, I think the Giants' defense, their front is solid. But Malik Neighbors is showing up like another LSU wide receiver, man. Like he's doing good things.
He played great. He was not shadowed by Denzel Ward, though. He got a lot of opportunities to go up against Martin Emerson, who is a bigger bodied fucking corner and was going to have problems going up against Neighbors. I don't know why they don't travel. Brown's Twitter, Brown Spaces have been going crazy with these guys need to start traveling. Emerson cannot go up against a guy who is so good in and out of his routes like Neighbors. That's a Denzel Ward matchup. Neighbors needs to go and take the big body guys. You face up against a Mike Evans, a fucking Mike Williams, those types of guys. That's who Martin Emerson covers, not your supreme route runner, Malik Neighbors. And it also doesn't help that we didn't disguise that fucking thing on our defense. We lined up on offense and on defense and didn't disguise a goddamn thing. No pre-snap motions, no disguises on defense. Fuck the Browns. God damn it, man.
Either way, I think a lot of what Nick Carnes had said makes a lot of sense. I think a friend of the show, we should have him on again to speak his piece because I reached out to Nick and I asked him if he would like to join us on Sunday morning. We'll see what happens. Obviously, busy man. But yeah, Nick's been catching some fucking heat. Yeah. Everyone wants to find a place to point the finger, and they can only point the finger so much at like Deshaun and or the team or this or that or the other. It's easier to do it when you actually have someone on Twitter who's being responsive. That's kind of one of the reasons why I like to stay off Twitter in many instances because it gets so fucking toxic. All right, let's move off of this game. We're done with that. Band-Aid's torn off.
This game.
What is the next game up on our slate?
So Seahawks, man, they get a win and against the team that we were just talking about, who has a terrible quarterback situation. The Dolphins are gonna have to go get a guy. They have to go find somebody. They cannot continue to roll that out there with the quarterbacks that they got going. The Seahawks were not even remotely worried about the weapons that the Dolphins brought to the table because they had no worries about how they were going to get the ball to their weapons. They lined up straight up against them. They're like, this motherfucker can't get it out to them in a fashion where they can threaten us. They didn't stretch them vertically. They didn't stretch them fucking laterally. Nothing. Seahawks got everything they wanted. It was easy. Miami has to go and get somebody who will do something with the ball.
So they went out and got Huntley, right? But obviously he didn't play in this game. It was Tim Boyle that got a couple reps in. Um, Tim Boyle's not the dude.
Skyler.
Huntley, I don't think is the dude. Obviously, we're tracking Skyler. Tannehill makes sense, obviously, because there's a Dolphins connection there. He's a veteran. He's a guy who's ran offenses, but I don't think that he's necessarily special or anything like that either. So I don't know who is really good option for them to go out and get. Like, you would hope that the team is able to operate regardless of who the quarterback is to an extent. Brings back to my Vikings. We saw this a bit last year where Kevin O'Connell was Rochambeau throwing out crazy fucking quarterbacks to give you the Pasternaut and Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall, and they're still able to go out there and get wins. And you had some games from guys like Nick Mullins where he's going out and throwing for fucking 400 yards, and you're going to get a couple interceptions, but you're also getting like 3 touchdowns, and it's wild fucking football. But you're also not paying a guy to like or Will Levis to face your franchise is fucking Nick Mullins. Which is why I bring up Nick Mullins. I think they should trade the Vikings for Nick Mullins.
Crying Josh Hartnett?
Can't tell if he's a swollen Asian man or fucking crying
he
Josh Hartnett.
He will always look like crying Josh Hartnett to me. He will never be anything but crying Josh Hartnett.
Yeah, but look, I think it's good to have Nick Mullins on the Vikings team or whatever right now. Like, he's a good backup to have, but like, they want to pitch us a fucking 4th round pick or a 5th round pick. Like, Mullins can sling the fucking ball. He's gonna do some crazy shit, but the scheme isn't that crazy. Like, KOC's scheme comes from McVay and the Shanahan system. Like, the scheme difference isn't going to be that crazy. Mullins came from San Fran previously. He's been with KOC. He's going to be able to pick up schematically difficult offenses to an extent. Like, you're going to get high variance play from him, but you also have pass catchers out there in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and runners who can fucking do damn good things as well. Like, it's not going to be the same as having Tua, but if you have any expectation that Tua isn't going to be able to play for the rest of the year, you got to find something. And so I think a guy like Mullins maybe could ferry you along for the rest of the year. And yeah, he's gonna have some lumps with him, but he's also going to be able to help you put up points. And that's what this team was good at doing last year, just blowing people out. The defense wasn't fucking fantastic, but they're able to blow people out. And so if you got a guy that can go and put up 400 passing yards potentially, I don't know, maybe go for it. I don't know who else they can go for it. I don't know what other quarterback. I mean,
don't fucking call about Jameis. Don't call about Jameis. Jameis is not tradable.
I've talked about Russ Wilson. Like,
the comments in Pittsburgh were interesting about. Do you need to? Are you going to name Justin Fields the QB1?
Don't think it's
necessary.
The
response was, we don't need to. That's not necessary, right?
Yeah.
So is it not necessary because there's something still going on with Russ and he's still banged up? Or because it's very clear that Justin Fields is the guy? That's a pretty...
You don't move off the hot hand.
Yeah.
Right now the hand for Fields is hot.
I don't know if they'll give up Russ, if those are the comments, though. Right?
I don't know.
If they won't name one of those guys QB1,
I think that they're perfectly content with keeping both of them and riding whoever's playing good. I feel like if they think like, oh, we can get 3 weeks and then a loss, like a terrible loss from Justin Fields, we'll put Russ in. And if we get 3 weeks of wins and a terrible loss from Russ, we'll put Justin back in. And if one of them gets hurt, then we patch it back.
The Steelers are not going to be inclined to help a team that has playoff potential at the quarterback spot.
Yeah.
Especially in the AFC.
And look, at the end of the day, like they're paying Russ nothing. It took him nothing to get him there. So he's kind of a free asset to have around. Like, if they really want to, they could trade him and probably get something for him in return. Like, something more significant than what Russ probably is worth regularly, just because of how desperate the Dolphins are. But you bring up a good point. Dolphins are a team that absolutely could be a playoff contender. And you don't want to help a team out doing that while also negating potential backup plans for yourself. But as far as the rest of this game goes, yeah, like it sucks for the Dolphins. Like, without that quarterback play, they are kind of nothing.
Yeah.
You would hope that they'd be able to scheme stuff up more for Tariq and Waddle and all those guys, and it just didn't happen. You're able to focus more on the run game, which completely negates Oshane's ability, because Oshane is able to work a lot off of the pass game being so prolific. And on the flip side, I mean, Seattle's a good team. I don't like while this was a blowout, 24-3, it's a
Yeah,
blowout. I don't
Seattle's
think
not
they're a blowout
impressive
team.
right now. They won. They beat a team with no fucking quarterback.
They're a 3-0 team, but not an impressive 3-0 team. They're a team that absolutely is you're not expecting them to make a run for being undefeated by any means. Like they're gonna hit a team here sooner than later. That's probably gonna hand them an L. And to bring it back down to earth a little bit, and that absolutely could be this week with the Lions. See what happens there. Good game from Charbonnet. He's showing that he's a true number one style running back if need be, which is a good problem to have when you have a Kenneth Walker on your
Especially with
team.
Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker gets banged up so much, man.
Yeah.
Great back, but always getting banged up. So, it's good for them. Seahawks had a good game. They did what they needed to do to get a dub. You got anything else on that one, or you want to move on to next?
Ready to go?
All right, moving on to one team that's better than the Browns, but still ass. The Cowboys. They get a loss. Dak has way too much pressure on him, man. That team cannot run the ball. We knew they weren't going to be able to run the ball. The corpse of fucking Ezekiel Elliott and the running back core that they got there is not going to do them any goddamn good. Dak is going to have to throw it 50 plus times a game and throw for over 300 yards. But sometimes that's not going to be good enough because they struggle in the red zone. Lamar didn't have any pressure on him whatsoever because they could run. They ran the ball 45 fucking times, almost for 300 yards. That's the duality of these two teams, man. The Ravens have been bad, but you know what? The Ravens can always go back to. They'll just run the fucking ball down your throat. It always works for them.
Yeah, after the comments of like, oh, we didn't bring Derrick Henry to run, like bring him in here and run him fucking 25 times a game. Well, what'd you do? You ran him 25 fucking times, and he got 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like that's who Derrick Henry is. Use him appropriately, and you're going to get this sort of a result. They're a good run team. Flip side, like I don't know where everyone thought that the Dallas Cowboys were going to be such an impressive offensive powerhouse team. Like you've got a guy who can be a good. He can be a high-end quarterback, and you've got CD, one of the best receivers in the league. You don't have no run game, and you have no one behind them. Ferguson is a fucking good tight end, but like he's a tight end, man. Like, and he's not necessarily Kelsey. So, like, what do you have there? And now you've got the fucking Zimmer defense being exposed 2 weeks in a row. I don't want to pick on your Browns again, but like after week 1, we kind of assumed like, oh shit, maybe we slept on Dallas a little bit. But now they've had 2 weeks in a row of like not good play. It took a 19-point fourth quarter for them to be competitive in this game at all and be close. Like it was almost like, and again, the Ravens, the worst team in the fourth quarter. So it makes sense that Dallas was able to go ahead and put up 19 points in the fourth on them. But like, you should, if you're supposed to be one of the better teams in the NFC, and you're supposed to, this is our year type thing, it shouldn't be 19 points in the fourth quarter. You should be neck and neck with another team that is considered a team that is a likely playoff team in the AFC. And I didn't see that at all from them. Like, I think the Cowboys are probably a lot closer to what we thought that they were at the beginning of the year. McCarthy's right back on that hot seat. It's sad when your owner, Jones, one fucking bit, but when he has to come out and be like, answering questions, well, do you feel bad about not going after Derrick Henry, and him being like, we didn't have enough money. We didn't have enough money to go after.
Well, Jerry, if you didn't manage this team like a fuckface, maybe you would.
Yeah. Look, I was scared for the Ravens there at the end because I was like, oh shit, the fourth quarter woes are right back. And flipped from the Rams game, which we'll get to. Then I was like, holy fucking shit, that's wild. To this game being like, it fucking happened again twice.
Yeah.
Like that afternoon slate at the end was very riveting. To watch.
Yeah, it was good.
But yeah, look, like Ravens can be a good team. They had a couple close games. Well, that Raiders game wasn't necessarily close. It was embarrassing, but still, like the Ravens are a good team. They had a bad week in week 2, and they need to figure out how to play a fucking fourth quarter of football, and they'll be all right. Also, R.I.P. Justin Tucker. Like, we're seeing the
Yeah,
end of an era with
yeah,
one of
hit
the
from
greatest
over
kickers ever.
50, dude.
Like, it's been a thing, since last year. So
Yeah.
he's not who he was. Respect to Justin Tucker, one of the greatest, if not the greatest kickers ever.
Top 2.
Yeah.
Him and Vinatieri, the only 2 guys that you even have that conversation, probably.
Yeah. So not like Brandon Aubrey kicking 65 fucking yarders. There for Dallas.
Piped it. We had a comment come in. Appreciate Shyman99. Yeah. We've heard the comp. There is a picture of me somewhere on the internet floating around, looking like Jason Kelsey, cheering during the playoff game. I believe you can find that on our Facebook and our Twitter. But shout out Shyman. Thanks for hopping in.
I feel like it, at least at one point in time, was a part of our intro video. Even.
I think it was.
Yeah. All right, next game.
All right. Moving on to the next game. Talking about that fucking 49ers game. The Rams come back, and honestly, I didn't feel like the Rams won this game. I feel like the 49ers pissed this game away. They could not hold on to the ball, could not get a stop late. Stafford makes a fucking hero play at the end of the game, and kind of gets rid of that bugaboo of playing against the Niners. You see it the same way, man, because I'm sure Joe Rockstar feels like they had this game in the bag.
Yeah, we've seen some comments from Joe Rockstar. You know, he's calling for heads already from some of the players and whatnot on the defensive side of the ball. I will give props to the Rams for what they were able to do. They shouldn't have been able to put up 13 in the fourth quarter. But you can't sleep on a McVay team, I guess. Like at the end of the day, it was a good day from fucking Purdy, 3 touchdowns, 292 yards.
Yeah,
it was a good day from Mason, 77 yards rushing, and another 11 receiving. Juwan Jennings, who I took out of my starting fantasy lineup and decided, you know what, maybe Waddle can do something. Nah, I took him out, and I hate myself for that. Big fucking day for him, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk, not worth the money he was paid to this point in the year. God damn, like 3 weeks of mediocrity. I mean,
Juwan Jennings has looked like the best receiver in that group.
Yesterday, absolutely. And obviously I think that points towards he needs more play when Debo's back out there and whatnot. Look, the 49ers are still one of the best teams in the NFL, in my opinion. They are deep despite injuries.
Dude, they just piss it. They piss it right down their leg.
Yeah. That's where I feel like this one went, because look at the Rams offense didn't look special.
No.
I mean, you had a good game from
Kyron. Yeah.
Kyron's solid running back. We know that. But like other than that, it was kind of mediocre game and late game spectacular, magic.
Yeah.
And it's why the Rams are still underdogs going into next week's game. But
yeah. Well, let's move on to the next one. Cardinals, Lions. Cardinals could just never get anything going because they didn't have the goddamn ball. The Lions held onto the ball for fucking forever in this game. So the running game never got going for the Cardinals. They could never work off of their running game. And the Lions finally got David Montgomery going. So Lions kind of switch up their game plan, commit to the run, work off of that, hold on to the ball, take away a potential explosive offensive day from the Cardinals, because that offense can be explosive. I love the game plan from the Lions. Kind of killed some of my parlays because the offense was just down. But brilliant game plan to just eat the fucking clock.
Yeah, look, this Cardinals team needs to be able to run the ball well. James Conner's been a very good and efficient runner this year up into this game. And they were able to, the Lions were able to shut down that run game. And if they're not able to bounce off of the run game, you're not going to be getting a whole lot of passing offense from the Cardinals. And it was very much so a big run game for the Lions. They controlled the game script. They controlled that game completely. David Montgomery, great game, 105 yards. With Jahmyr Gibbs, same thing, 83 yards rushing. Like, this was a running team, and they were able to control the entire game script for this. So, that's why it was only 20-13, still a low scoring game, but it didn't need to be anything crazy because the Lions just seemed like they were in control and just kind of slowly choking out the Cardinals the whole game.
Yeah. Just could never get the ball. But I got nothing else on that one, man. Let's move on to the Monday night games. The fucking Chiefs always get the good calls. They're
Sunday night.
I'm sorry, Sunday night game. They're cheaters. They always get the good calls. The Chiefs get all calls, always. But their defense did play really, really well. Chance late.
That's who I was going to say is potentially neck and neck with the Vikings for best defense is the Chiefs defense. Like, Spags puts up a fucking great game plan.
Yeah, the defense is playing really well. Almost gave it away. Falcons almost fucking got another late win. Officials don't make a call.
Seemed pretty fucking obvious to me.
Yeah.
Again. Like, the NFL has to hate this storyline. They have to do a better job with this. Like, they should, just like the refs key teams in before the game, like, hey, we're looking for this and we're looking for that. We call PIs a little bit more. We're going to be calling PIs a little bit more this game. Things like that. Like, the NFL should then call the fucking refs and be like, by the way, we're going to be watching you a little bit harder. Like, you need to watch harder at the end of these games because you're kind of fumbling the bag on some of these calls, and it's becoming a trope that is very, very true. It seems like that you guys aren't calling things in these Chiefs games. It was a pretty fucking obvious PI, in my opinion, there. And look, obviously a game shouldn't necessarily come down to one play, but in this instance, made the fucking difference in the game. The Falcons kind of, again, the Chiefs aren't blowing anyone out. The Falcons are right there. I don't know. Like, that, I think that's who the Chiefs are going to be this year. Is they're going to be the team that fucking just lets everyone hang around with them.
But you know what they did do? Cover. The Chiefs covered -3. Woo!
They did cover. Very rare cover.
About goddamn time. But yeah, the Chiefs, it is bad how many times they keep getting these calls. It is a trope. It needs to be fixed. But let's move on to a team that actually does suck worse than the Browns. The Jags are terrible. They are really, really fucking bad. Josh Allen, really fucking good. Second best quarterback in the league. He could have been a Brown. Said he wanted to come here. We didn't take him. I'm going to sleep in the garage with my car on this evening. Anyways, it's time to have a serious conversation about Trevor Lawrence, though, because he's not getting it done. $275 million. That's more than Deshaun Watson. He's not getting it done. He is airmailing everything. Jags fans cannot be happy with what they're seeing. They're really bad. I thought the Browns were okay. I thought the Jags maybe were decent, and the Browns got a win against a scrappy team. No, the Jags fucking suck. We just suck a little bit less.
Yeah, look, I think the Jags have the potential to be a good team, but like they're falling apart from within. I think Lawrence can be a good quarterback, but he was not accurate. He wasn't making good decisions. Like, he's seeing ghosts. He is. I think we are seeing a Carson Wentz timeline with him right now, like where you have this upheaval of him being good into last year, and then an injury happens, and then it's just been fucking train wreck since, and now you're getting Carson Wentz type of play from him. Like, it's not good. I think he's talented. Etienne's talented. They got talented receivers on the team. The offensive line is not that great. Defense is kind of a shell of what it could be. I don't know how to fix the Jags at this point, and I think Lawrence is probably seeing ghosts and fucking just. I don't know how you correct that mid-season. It's going to be tough. Like, a bye week couldn't come fucking sooner for them to try to figure some shit out. But you're also going to Buffalo against one of, if not the best team in the league. In the Bills, they are
they're so good.
We called for years that they need to develop a run game. They developed a run game, like for sure.
And they do not need a star wide receiver. Josh Allen is capable of making guys around him look better.
Yeah, you have 4 guys who are closer to Jags than having one guy, Stephon Diggs, as a true number 1, and it works better for him. And that has been the Chiefs model. Like the Bills are following a lot of the Chiefs model with this. Like the Chiefs moved on from Pacheco moved on from Tyreek Hill and focused on Kelsey and Pacheco. And now Bills move on from their guy and Diggs, and now they're focusing more on James Cook and a Dalton Kincaid type situation. They are mirroring that a lot. They've got a strong defense, just like the Chiefs. Like they are very much so mirroring what that Kansas City team is doing, and we've seen how successful that has been for Kansas City. The difference is that with Josh Allen, he can be a lot more explosive, especially with his legs. And that's when you start getting blowouts like this. Like that's the difference. Is the Chiefs, they stay kind of mediocre with the team that they're playing. Josh Allen can blow a fucking team out like they did to the Jags.
They got everything they wanted. Josh Allen made it look so fucking easy. Everything was easy. That's part Jags and that's part Josh Allen being a goddamn superhero.
Yeah.
So, but on to our last game. Actually, I'm going to kind of tie this in. Do we need to start having a similar discussion about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals on what is wrong with that team and if what they did was the right decision? Because these quarterback contracts are getting out of control. Trevor Lawrence, $275 is an absurd amount of money, and you can't make your team better, even though that team drastically needs to be better because Trevor Lawrence is not playing up to par. The Cincinnati Bengals paid Joe Burrow a lot of money. They're not going to be able to pay other people, and they're not winning right now with those people. The Bengals are in trouble. They fucking suck. They are worse than the Browns. Their defense is terrible, and they cannot get the ball in the end zone if they are in the red zone. They cannot convert short yardage. I have no doubts that the Bengals are not going to be a playoff team. I bet on it at the start of the year. That bet also included the Browns winning the division, which is absolutely not fucking happening. But I was pretty confident the Bengals weren't making the playoffs. But on the flip side, Jaden Daniels is easily the best rookie quarterback in this class right now. And it's by a fucking long shot.
After that game,
so good.
Yeah. 21 or 23 with 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. Super efficient. Didn't make any mistakes. Running the ball for 39 yards. Like, fantastic fucking game from him. Got Scary Terry involved a lot more, which was nice to see. Like, we kind of saw what the potential of the Washington offense can be. I want to see more from the run game, but like they excelled, and it goes back to, I think the Bengals defense is kind of garbage. I'm not as hard against the Cincy as you are. Like, I still like Burrow. I don't know that Burrow has clutch in him, and that's what could hold him back a little bit. But I mean, especially statistically, good day, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, the passing game still had some good pieces there. Josephus is turning out to be a touchdown machine for that team as well. Like, it's still 52 yards. A bunch of that was towards the end of the game. He didn't really make his mark more till the end of the game, but like, you know, the defense is letting teams keep up with them at this point. Trey Hendrickson is a great pass rusher, and I don't think that they have a whole lot else going for them on that defense. And that's gonna thwart them. Like, Burrow came out of his fucking 2-week preseason cave and performed, but I don't know that he has all the clutch in him that he should. And that's kind of what's holding him back. I get the contract. Like, you have to pay quarterbacks at this point. It sucks, but you have to pay quarterbacks at this point. But now it's going to come to the question again, can they put a competent team around him? And on defense, doesn't look like that's the case.
Yeah, well, and they're not going to have an opportunity with the money they're going to have to spend to keep some of these wide receivers. They're going to have to keep one of them.
Yeah, and it's going to be Chase.
Yeah,
it's going
to have to be.
Yeah, because T. Higgins is not T. Higgins from 3 years ago.
No, he's not. But Jaden Daniels is, dude, he looks so good. I was worried. I thought the Bengals defense could maybe make him make some mistakes. The Bengals defense stinks, and Jaden Daniels didn't make hardly any fucking mistakes. He's super, super efficient. We worried about, would he do the smart thing and take care of his body? They're doing a good job of making sure that he's in situations where he doesn't necessarily have to. They're moving the pocket. They're actually doing a pretty good job with that line and giving him time. Scary Terry has the ability to stretch the field, so he can let it rip downfield on a 3-step, and Terry will go get it. So I'm incredibly impressed. I had Jaden Daniels as my QB1 coming out in this draft. I feel very good about that right now. I've been pretty good with my quarterback evals over the last few years. I was very down on fucking Bryce Young, high on Jaden Daniels. I notoriously beat the hell out of Zach Wilson on this podcast for a few years. He's really, really, really good.
I think Cliff Kingsbury's scheme fits.
It does. Hey, that's a great college offense that they're running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's working right now. I mean, it's
talk about
working against a bad defense.
Things that shouldn't be said. Cam Taylor-Britt maybe needs to shut the fuck up about that college offense.
Yeah. Well, when you get worked over like that, for sure. Yeah. Maybe you should play an NFL defense.
Yeah, Bengals are not good. Yeah. Very happy about that, though.
So that was our week in football, and we've kind of got one more thing to go over.
Uh-oh.
Thursday night football.
Oh, that's right.
Thursday night football right around the corner, buddy.
Hell yeah. I will be in Colorado, I think, on this day, on Thursday. Going to try to catch the game. Going out to Wyoming for my brother-in-law's wedding. Very excited to see everybody. Going out to Wyoming for a very country wedding. So our Sunday show will have some additional attire.
All right. I'll probably join you with that then.
Hell yeah. Man, I'm pumped for the wedding. I'm not necessarily pumped for this game, though, because both these teams, I think, kind of stink. But one of these teams typically stinks really bad, and it's the Giants. The Giants can't beat the fucking Cowboys, bro. I can't remember the last time they've beat the fucking Cowboys. So to think that they're going to win this game is insane. I don't think there's any way that happens. The Giants did just beat the shit out of my Browns, though. Mm-hmm. I don't feel very confident in my Browns. Too. I don't feel very confident in my Browns. I don't like this game. This game sucks. The Giants suck. Start with the Cowboys. I'm going to start. This is how I'm going to do this week. If the home team is getting points, I'm fucking taking them. So I'm going to take the Giants plus 5.5.
All right. I'm going to count this as a get back game for the Cowboys. I want to take the Giants plus the 5.5 points because I want to stick to that narrative that Dallas is no bueno. But the Giants aren't very good either. Yeah, they just went up against a dysfunctional Browns team and were able to take advantage of that. But they have like one main receiving option, and that's Malik Neighbors. Mike Zimmer is going to understand that. He's going to put guys on him. He's also going to, he's been notorious for fucking up quarterbacks who see ghosts. Danny Jones can see fucking ghosts. So expect a lot of double Cali, that A-glap, double shotgun blitz. He's going to fucking be pulling the trigger on Micah Parsons, I think, in this game. He's been embarrassed for 2 weeks in a row. He's not going to allow his defense to be embarrassed. And that's all it's going to take is to shut down the Giants' offense, what little bit of offensive firepower that they have to kind of neuter that team. And then you just need a couple plays from CeeDee Lamb here and there, and the Cowboys should be able to win. Divisional game has the chance of being closer. It hasn't been close in recent weeks. I'm going to take Dallas minus the points, minus 5.5 on FanDuel on this one. Don't feel great about it because I hate both these teams. And I do kind of like your bet better. as the home team getting points there. But I'm going to say this is going to be a bounce back for the Cowboys, -5.5.
All right, there we go. There's our Thursday night game. But with that, we're going to wrap this thing up and get the fuck out of here. I got to get some sleep at some point. Still got to pack because we're leaving tomorrow. But, guys, thank you very much. This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. We are going to be back with you guys Sunday morning, taking you up pre-gaming all of the shows, all of the games, giving you our picks, giving you our bets. We're hoping to go way fucking better than we have over the last 3 weeks. Also going to be bringing you the Lineman Lounge parlay. Need one of those to pop as well. But guys, thank you very much. Anytime you spend time with us, we cannot thank you enough. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So when you give it to us, we are forever grateful. If you want to interact with our show, you can go to any one of the places below. X, Facebook, TikTok. We also have the call line that is open during the shows. It is closed as we speak. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you guys Sunday. Evo, give the people one last word before we get the fuck out of here.
Fuck the spread.
Yeah, fuck the spread. Fuck the spread. We have not done good. But, all right, guys, we're going to do better this week. We think. No promises. We appreciate you. We'll see you guys on Sunday, but we're getting the fuck out of here. See ya.
Good.